We are live with you here on SportsGrid for Betting Above the Rim Pro Basketball today, and we are here with the NBA Finals underway. Kevin Walsh with you on this Saturday morning, joined by Tom Vecchio. Coach James Young out on assignment. Dad duty. Shout out to JY. I'll be back with him tomorrow night covering Game 2 of OKC, Indiana, where the Thunder looked like they had it all set up. It looked like they were going to not just win game number 1, but send a message doing so, turning over that Pacers team and making them feel uncomfortable, arguably in a way they have not all postseason long. And then the Indiana Pacers do what they do better than anybody ever before. Steal one from the jaws of defeat like we have seemingly never seen. 111 to 110. The Pacers lead the NBA Finals, Tom, 1-0.
Unbelievable game, and we were talking pre-show with Pat, one of the producers behind the scenes, and I was like, the Pacers seem so comfortable, unfazed, down 10, 12, 15, whatever it might be at halftime. They're turning the ball over. No hitch in their step. They look comfortable. They have the depth, and we talked about this coming into it a little bit.
Yeah.
Coaching, definitely when it comes to Carlisle, you check that box 10 times out of 10.
Yeah.
And adjustments, little things, depth, like they have the pieces where they just don't get phased.
Mm-hmm.
And to see OKC struggle, I think we have to have a conversation. Is it a bad game or is it a sign of bad things to come? Because this happened in Game 1 against Denver.
Yep.
They lose at home. OKC has the rest. They swept Memphis, Denver, grueling series versus the Clippers, and then a little bit of a slow step for the Thunder coming out. And then it happened in, Game 3 versus Minnesota. They lose 30, whatever, some odd points they lost by. And it's like, is that just a bad game or is that a sign of bad things to come? And now they're facing a team where it's like, you can't have those mistakes.
Right.
You can't. This is a team that has proven that they can come back, they can hang with teams, they can play fast, they can score, they can step up on defense when they need to. And more importantly, the adjustments that they make, I think, are the key factor in the series.
Shai Gilgeous-Alexander said it after the loss. This is a team in Indiana. It's a 48-minute game.
Yeah.
They are going to play the full 48 minutes. You have to put them away. And they just did not do that. And I think anybody can look at that first half where you turn a team over 20 times. And to be up 12 in the first half of an NBA Finals game, you know that should be awesome. We're crushing it. And I know for me, Tom, I was sat there like, man, the Pacers should be down by more. And the fact that they weren't, I think, again, it depends who you are. But some people saw them down 12 playing poorly, and they were like, see, this series is going to be a wrap. And I was like, you got to get this team away from you. And they could not just stiff-arm this group into another realm. And it allows this Pacers team to just keep on coming, bombing away threes, getting some incredible three-point performance off the bench, including the 5 of 8 performance from Obi Toppin, which, if you just kind of freeze-frame the first quarter for Obi Toppin, where it looked like he was going to be unplayable with some of his insane turnovers, to have that game with 17 points and again a 5-made 3 performance was a part again of what makes the Pacers, is who stepped up. Everyone. They scored 111 points. Nobody on the team scored 20.
I almost want to say like that is a Rick Carlisle thing. Where like you said, Obi Toppin, first quarter, not good. Other coaches would have sat him, and he would not have played the rest of the game.
Yeah.
But it's a trust in the depth. It's a trust in the system. It's a trust in it. Like Thomas Bryant getting minutes, not only in this series, but the prior series. Like, listen, you don't have to play a lot, but you got to be useful when you're out there for the 8, 10, 12 minutes, whatever it's going to be. And again, it is a well-rounded team effort, and we can transition some of this to the other side for OKC, where it really wasn't a well-rounded team effort. Seeing all 5 starters for the Pacers in double figures, and Obi Toppin coming off the bench scoring double figures. Not the same case when it comes to the same case when it comes to the Thunder, where I have my questions about can we get a high level of consistency outside of SGA and Williams at times? Because it was a great game from Lou Dort, but are we going to be getting 5 3-pointers from Lou Dort on a nightly basis? We need to be getting more at a Chet Holmgren.
Well, I think you're right to bring up Chet. You're right. J-Dub was 6 of 19. That's an unacceptable performance from him. This game was more interesting than I expected before it started due to a decision made by Oklahoma City Thunder head coach Mark Daigneault, where he changes his starting lineup before the series begins for the first time all postseason. And Cason Wallace in for Isaiah Hartenstein is something that I didn't agree with, because entering the series, thought that the double big OKC lineup was a very tough guard for the Indiana Pacers. And that was one piece of it. But you look at it, and clearly Daigneault thought, look, I just want to have one big on the court at all times. And there are some who are defending the decision, saying it worked. Look at the turnovers. Look at the first quarter numbers of it all. Here's the thing. Mark Daigneault then seemingly doubled down on his pregame adjustment and closed this basketball game with no big. If you make a move like that, Tom, and your new starter has the worst plus-minus by far on your basketball team, I think it's fair to say you made a mistake.
Absolutely made a mistake, and seeing Hartenstein not in the starting lineup, we have to assume that they're going to rectify that, and he'll be back in there on Sunday.
I'm not sure.
Really?
I'm not because
like, if we're talking about logically, like,
yeah,
minus 13, terrible. Like, objectively, it was the wrong choice.
Yep.
And again, I can understand from a systemic standpoint. It's like, listen, we got to have someone a big out there at all times, and we have to manage the game flow. We have to manage the ins and outs, which I think could be done. But I don't think it'd be done against the Pacers when you know what they're bringing. Like, you can do that against Minnesota. Rudy's he's a non-factor on offense. We can deal with that.
Right.
You could do that in some of the prior series. I think Hartenstein not being in there would be an issue for me. I would be like, okay, we're at an 11-point line now. Give me the Pacers again. They may not win, but you're going to hang in 11?
I think So there's one reason I'm not sure of it, and I think I'm going to use the Philadelphia Eagles to try and explain. Oh no, it'll make sense.
Okay.
And it's not going where you think it's going.
Okay.
Exactly. Okay. The other piece of it though is, for Daigneault, he might say, "Listen, my single big stuff worked. I'm telling you guys, but I really messed up when I took all of my bigs off the court." Cason Wallace playing 9 more minutes than Chet Holmgren. Again, listen, hey, I'll put the trade request in for Chet if we got to do it, because that is unacceptable when we talk about who the Oklahoma City Thunder are, what has allowed this team to get here up until this point, to all of a sudden go, where's Chet? Well, they benched him with 3.5 minutes left and proceeded to get crushed on the glass and find themselves down 1-0. Again, we're going to talk about that decision. Will they make that move? We'll talk about, again, how the Indiana Pacers are doing this. Is this sustainable? The new series price where we've seen numbers slashed in half, the finals MVP market. It's all here for you on SportsGrid. We'll be right back after this break.
It'll be interesting to see what the Knicks do, but the Knicks are at a point now where they don't have to blow it up. They may still do so, and they have a right to do so, but with trading the 4 first-round picks and the pick swap for Mikal Bridges, the Knicks don't have a lot of room in regards to actual picks to throw at people.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
No one is going to pick Indiana. No one's going to pick Indiana to make it close, honestly. Like, you could get tremendous odds if you pick OKC in 7.
I think that taking the series over 5.5 games, the last 2 NBA Finals series ended in 5. I think this one goes 6. I think the Thunder will get the job done, but I think the Pacers are just too strong of a team and too talented of a team and too deep of a team to lose in 5 or fewer games.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
The Knicks really got past that playoff dragon for them that really stood in their way. So for the New York Knicks to be the Celtics and then an outright favorite to win the Eastern Conference Finals, that's where the disappointment is.
The goalposts got moved, right? Because when you went into the Celtics series, a lot of Knicks fans said they weren't going to beat it. I'll say this is more unprecedented than the 99 run when they were the 8th seed.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Face. It's the new face. New face of what? The hell are you talking about? Like seriously. Oh, the new face of the NBA, Anthony. Yeah, okay. You know what I mean? Like, really? Guy's got 2 shots. You're face of the NBA. Slow down. He's a good player. I've always thought the whole face of the NBA thing was comical. You want him to be the face of the NBA because you don't like it that all the other faces of the NBA aren't American.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
Back to the right here on SportsGrid. It's Kevin Walsh and Tom Vecchio, and we're, of course, talking NBA Finals with you here this morning. I mentioned the Philadelphia Eagles. Again, just hear me out.
I'm ready. I'm listening.
For all of my praise and accuracy from the Philadelphia Eagles last year, and that sentiment translated to their head coach, Nick Sirianni, occasionally you would see Sirianni do something that would be criticized, be like, I'm going to show you I was right about that, instead of going the other way. Right. Not every time, but when it, I think, comes to being at this level, a coach at this level, you love to double down, be like, I know I wasn't wrong about this one, and we can win this game with me being right. Even if I know we're going to win it, if I go back the other way, we can still win it, and I can prove to everyone I had this right the whole time. And I think the example that some of that is in Mark Daigneault, Tom, is the foul up 3 stuff. His approach to fouling up 3 cost them game number 1 against Denver. It was laughably bad.
Yeah.
He then deployed it again against Minnesota in game 4 of that series, and it nearly cost them again. It was once again a poorly executed foul up 3 strategy. So I'm looking at Mark Daigneault here, and part of me thinking he won't make a change is the no big stuff was more offensive than the single big stuff. But another piece of that is he might just have too much pride to have another lineup change to begin this series.
That's part of it. And, you know, doing things your way and then being right is far more gratifying than simply winning. Like, winning and proving people wrong at the same time, that's the juice. That's what, you know, any coach or player would want. Mm-hmm. The question becomes is, they're running out of, I don't want to say they're running out of runway, but...
Well, there's only so many games. I think that's fair to say.
Like, you could say, we kind of did that. Maybe you messed around versus Memphis. You did it. You took care of it in Denver. They were the better team. You do it versus Minnesota, clearly the better team. It's like, how many more bites of the apple do you really have to say, like, hey, we're going to try a different starting lineup. We're going to change things even further. Ultimately, you may be right over a large enough sample size. 10, 20 games, you can get that done. But when you're playing now down to 6 games, I'm not sure that's the case, and the backfire would be immense.
Oh, I think that Daigneault, from what I've evaluated, can really put himself on the hot seat, quite frankly. We'll get to who we think is still going to win this series. I actually want to stick on this decision because it was a really big one. And again, the no big stuff was, you can go back I truly think everyone should. The NBA's YouTube account posted it. You can watch the final 6-7 minutes of that game, and it's a clean watch. They cut out the fluff. When they put Chet on the bench in the final 3.5 minutes, it mattered. It's not one of those things where I'm just looking at a box score and telling you, oh, clearly it made a difference. Offensively, they had nothing. Because if you think that Kassan Wallace is a better offensive player than Chet Holmgren, you're nuts. And if you think that Kassan Wallace is a better defensive player than Chet Holmgren, what is that conversation? They're not even the same defensive player. Offensively, they were driving, and you could see it occasionally. Shea or J-Dub were looking for the lob threat, and it was Alex Caruso. It's like, well, that's not a lob threat. We're taking away easy buckets for us. And they gave up multiple offensive rebounds to Pascal Siakam in just the final 3.5 minutes that led to points. It was a huge misstep. I want to give you another statistic that puts this into perspective, Tom. I think you'll love this. So we talk about those Indiana turnovers and the fact that it was actually the most they've turned the basketball over in a single game, regular or postseason, all year. Before that game, they were 2-4, playoffs included, when they turned it over 20 or more times. Once in the playoffs, it was against the Knicks. They lost the game. But how about OKC? In the regular season, 14-2 out of 16 games when they had turned it over, when they made their opponent turn it over 20 or more times. Here's what I could not stop laughing at. In those two losses, both times, it only happened twice, there were two guys that missed the game for OKC.
I'm going to guess Chet and someone else.
Hartenstein. Isn't that incredible? Basically, if you turn it over that much, the only way you're winning is if Chet and Hartenstein aren't out there.
So that had to be at the beginning of the season.
It was kind of somewhere in the middle, because
Chet just came back from injury.
Yeah, there was a. Okay. They were one of them was mostly healthy.
Right.
You know what I mean? But there was a little crossover where neither guy was kind of ready to go. But yes, it was a little bit earlier. One of them was I think one was November against San Antonio, and then there was a Dallas one, maybe December or so, give or take. And I'll add on to it. In the playoffs, when they've turned an opponent over 20 or more times, 6-0.
No surprise there. Just looking at this in the last 2:52 of the fourth quarter, Pacers went on a 12-2 run. That's exactly when Chet was off the court. And this is just looking at simple game flow. This is not like digging into every single position, but if there's no offensive threat, big man, Wallace should be on the bench, Caruso should be in there, and Holmgren should be in there.
You know, this is the funny thing I talked about before the series. I thought that in terms of stopping Halliburton, Caruso or Kassan Wallace would be better suited than Lou Dort.
Okay.
That's how I felt. If you would have said, hey, they put Wallace in for Dort, I would have thought, okay, that's fine. There's no world where they needed Dort, Caruso, and Wallace out there. It's just, it doesn't even make sense. And that's really the thing of it. And that's why for me, because now we should talk about, what was your pick before the series? What's your pick now, right? It doesn't change at all. The gap between Carlisle and Dagnall, everyone would agree there was a gap, right? That, when you're going through the piece by, hey, better star, better offense, better defense, better sixth man, whatever it might be, right? The Thunder are checking box after box after box. But better coach, everyone's checking Pacers. How big is that gap? That becomes the question.
The chasm in a one-game sample size, listen, Rick Carl's been in the league for however many years. He's been to the playoffs. He's been.
Yeah.
I think it is I'm not going to say the defining thing in the series, but it may end up being that. It's not a good sign for the Thunder right now.
Good take. Let's figure out what we think this series will look like moving forward here. Series price updates next for you on SportsGrid.
It'll be interesting to see what the Knicks do, but the Knicks are at a point now where they don't have to blow it up. They may still do so, and they have a right to do so, but with trading the 4 first-round picks and the pick swap for Mikal Bridges, the Knicks don't have a lot of room in regards to actual picks to throw at people.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
No one is going to pick Indiana. No one's going to pick Indiana to make it close, honestly. Like, you can't really, you could get tremendous odds if you pick OKC in 7.
I think that taking the series over 5.5 games, the last 2 NBA Finals series ended in 5. I think this one goes 6. I think the Thunder will get the job done, but I think the Pacers are just too strong of a team and too talented of a team and too deep of a team to lose in 5 or fewer games.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
The Knicks really got past that playoff dragon for them that really stood in their way. So for the New York Knicks to be the Celtics and then an outright favorite to win the Eastern Conference Finals, that's where the disappointment is.
The goalposts got moved, right? Because when you went into the Celtics series, a lot of Knicks fans said they weren't going to beat it. This, I'll say this is more unprecedented than the 99 run when they were the 8 seed.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Face. He's the new face. New face of what? The hell are you talking about? Like seriously. Oh, the new face of the NBA, Anthony. Yeah, okay. You know what I mean? Like, really? Guy's got 2 shots. You're the face of the NBA. Slow down. He's a good player. I've always thought the whole face of the NBA thing was comical. You want him to be the face of the NBA because you don't like it that all the other faces in the NBA aren't American.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
The Indiana Pacers were minus 700. They are now minus.
OKC was minus 700.
My man, I've done that a few times. Well, maybe the Pacers should have been. The Thunder were minus 700, and it started at minus 750 or so. And I actually felt, in some way, game number 1, you could look at it in moments you're like, yeah, that's why the Thunder were such big favorites. But even before it was down to 3. The way the Pacers were hanging, it's like, that's why like everyone knew the plus 500 felt like too much. So now I'm seeing, just using FanDuel, minus 330 on OKC, minus 265 on the Pacers. You and I actually both thought OKC in 6 entering the series. You and I were certainly 2 of the more confident. This isn't going to be a short series, guys, right? There were a lot. Anyone picking the Pacers obviously expected a long series, but a lot of people picking the Thunder were 4 or 5 games. I am wondering, do I think it's now maybe more OKC in 7 than 6? Maybe. I bet both of those. I bet OKC 4-2. I bet OKC 4-3. Those numbers have obviously moved quite dramatically due to the way it goes. Where are you now? Have you moved to Pacers in 7, or are you still thinking OKC wins this series?
I'm still thinking OKC wins this series, but Sunday's game tomorrow is going to tell us everything. Because the different outcomes would be, man, Thunder, you know what? What do they do best? They're 10-point favorites. They win by 20.
Yeah.
Do we see that type of game? Like, it's probably going to be OKC in 6. Or what happens if OKC comes out there and they win, but they don't cover? They win by like 6. It's like, man, Pacers were within arm's reach the entire time. They were within the number the entire time. They missed a shot here. They missed a shot there. OKC had an extra bucket. Whatever it might be. It's like, man, the Pacers won game 1, and then they were right there in game 2, but they didn't come away with it. It's like, maybe the Thunder, there's definitely some holes, leaking in the ship at this point. And so tomorrow's game will be the determining factor. If I'm still answering the question now, I would still say OKC in 6, which is the point I made coming into the season when I said my favorite bet of the series was over 5.5 total games. I didn't want to go to exact number because I didn't want to have to hedge out of both. Over 5.5, I could hedge out of that if we got to a spot where they would win 4-1, which obviously can still happen at a certain point. But 4-2 for OKC, I think, is where things should go. If we get a super close game tomorrow, it could be OKC in 7.
So I want to. It's a really good point you bring up. I mentioned they were 6-0 before that game against Indiana in the postseason when teams turn it over 20 or more times. It's not just that they were 6-0. Their blowout wins
were probably massive.
So they've beaten every single team so far by 30 or more, right?
Right.
The game where they beat Memphis by 50, turned it over 20 times. Both 30-point wins against Denver, right? They turned it over 20 times. And the 30-point closeout against Minnesota, they turned it over 20 times. So 4 of the 6 wins, they had beaten their opponent by at least 30 points. They just lost to the Pacers. So the question becomes, it's not just that the Thunder should have won the game. They should have won it by 20.
They should have covered the 9-10-point number.
How many times were the Thunder going to beat this team by 20? Realistically, by 30?
Maybe once.
I was thinking, so I thought at least once, to be fair. Maybe twice. But now you go, maybe now they might have missed the chance to do that. And now you have to win close games against these demons?
See, and
that's worrisome.
This is kind of the point I made coming into it. Was like the opponents. That's why I said that if OKC wanted to face anyone, it was the Knicks, and that's why I said it, because the Pacers' offense can hang with the Thunder. You can say that the Pacers' defense may not be able to hang with the Thunder, but the Knicks' offense would have never been able to hang with the Thunder. That's what it comes down to.
Right.
If the Knicks could have grind a game out, they could force them to play slow and they could win close games. But if OKC got the juices going on offense, the Knicks would never keep up with them. And that's a fact. The Pacers can go punch for punch with them on offense, which is what we saw.
Yeah.
So if the Pacers keep this close, the Thunder, I would have to say, I may have to take a Pacers serious price at that point. At Pacers to win 4-3.
Yeah, I think for me right now, I still think it's going to be Oklahoma City, because this isn't a team. This is their second loss at home. I don't believe they've lost consecutive games this postseason. I don't see Indiana grabbing game 2.
No.
And that'll put us on a really level playing field. Let's talk a little bit more about game 2 with you right here on Betting Above the Rim.
It'll be interesting to see what the Knicks do, but the Knicks are at a point now where they don't have to blow it up. They may still do so, and they have a right to do so, but with trading the 4 first-round picks and the pick swap for Mikal Bridges, the Knicks don't have a lot of room in regards to actual picks to throw at people.
Betting Above the Rim, only on SportsGrid.
No one is going to pick Indiana. No one's going to pick Indiana to make it close, honestly. Like, you can't really, you could get tremendous odds if you pick OKC in 7.
I think that taking the series over 5.5 games, the last 2 NBA Finals series ended in 5. I think this one goes 6. I think the Thunder will get the job done, but I think the Pacers are just too strong of a team and too talented of a team and too deep of a team to lose in 5 or fewer games.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
The Knicks really got past that playoff dragon for them that really stood in their way. So for the New York Knicks to be the Celtics and then an outright favorite to win the Eastern Conference Finals, that's where the disappointment is.
The goalposts got moved, right? Because when you went into the Celtics series, a lot of Knicks fans said they weren't going to beat it. This, I'll say this is more unprecedented than the 99 run when they were the 8 seed.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Face is the new face. New face of what? The hell are you talking about? Like seriously. Oh, the new face of the NBA, Anthony. Yeah, okay. You know what I mean? Like, really? Guy's got 2 shots. You're face of the NBA. Slow down. He's a good player. I've always thought the whole face of the NBA thing was comical. You want him to be the face of the NBA because you don't like it that all the other faces of the NBA aren't American.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
Maggie the Right here on a beautiful basketball Saturday because this series I thought was going to be a treat, and Game 1 delivered more than I could have expected. Absolutely so. So then we try and wonder what's Game 2 going to look like. And you know what? We don't have to make people wait all the way until the very back end. Have you bet anything yet for Game 2?
Yes.
Okay,
Only
so
one,
have I.
Which we will... So I don't know if I should spoil it.
We'll treat the people. We can mention it later.
Yeah.
But do you want to tell the people one of the things that you've already bet for Game 2 and why?
So that would be Chet Holmgren under 25.5 PRA, points, rebounds, assists combined.
Okay, under. Okay.
So, and I'm not trying to, as Dave Sharapan, co-host here on the network, likes to say, a little bit of a skill shot. I think there's a chance he goes over his points prop, but may still fall under when it comes to others. And again, I'm not saying I'm betting that outcome, but I do like that he gets the points going. It may not be in every other area. So that's where I'm starting things off.
Just to say with that breakdown, if someone was telling you that, hey, I'm going to bet over this guy's PRA, I don't know if it's going to be with points. I don't know if it'll be with rebounds, but like some area will pop and get me over there. Everyone will be like, yep, sick. That's why we bet the combos. So I don't think it is ludicrous for you at all to say, look, he might score 20, and I still think I could cash this ticket. Obviously, you're hoping he doesn't score 20. Now, let me ask you this, because that's really interesting. What is leading you to his under?
So when we're looking at the stats from last game, and this has nothing to do with the rotational issues that we have, not closing out the game, but 6 points, 6 rebounds is what he has. He had in Game 1, I should say, 2 of 9. Didn't hit a 3. Probably expect him to hit at least 1 3 in this game. But we're seeing points prop at 14.5. I expect him to be able to get to not, 14, 15, 18 kind of points, but I expect a 12 and 10 kind of line from him, 13 and 10. So that puts it too much on the edge. We're like, he probably getting a double-double and him really pushing. So if I were to say he's going over his points prop by a good margin, who else is falling behind their points prop? Now, you can make the case that would be Lou Dort. He's not going to hit 5 threes again. But as we talked about, Williams, 6 of 19. So if he should be an efficient shooter or more an efficient shooter in Game 2, that's going to be taking away from someone else. So we can't have everyone scoring more and more. It can't be Chet and Williams being more effective and Lou Dort continuing to hit 5. So someone's going to have to take a step back, and it's probably going to be Lou Dort plus Jalen Williams being a little bit more efficient, and Chet Holmgren will have more points on a volume perspective, but he's not going to be blowing past the 25 points alone.
Yeah, here's the thing. His rebounding numbers, really since the Minnesota series began, I mean, it's 6 a game. It's a 6-game sample size. Typically, me, bounce back spot. It's not been there.
So that means to go over 25, and you would have to have a 20 and 6 game, which is, I think, is a bit much.
I mean, it would be a huge game. So this is interesting. I wouldn't want to fade Chet because if I were in the room, I'd be like, hey, Mark,
we got to get Chet the ball.
He's playing 35 minutes, and quite frankly, you can figure the rest out because he's one of our best players. But I also am not backing Chet because I have no idea what they're going to do.
And that's a fine spot, and I say this all the time where, on a day-to-day basis in the NBA regular season, it's like, listen, I'm not taking Antetokounmpo unders. His PRA is 48.5, whatever it's going to be.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not taking overs. I may not love his over, but I'm not taking an under. And this is just like, listen, you either want to be on board or it's just a no bet. And you can see how this game plays out, maybe get a better indication. Maybe the scoring does pick up and we can get a better line in Game 3. Totally understand that.
So I think Chet's one of the really fascinating guys within this game. For me, the bet that I already placed is over 227.5.
Okay.
I was surprised when I saw that total dropped, and it looks like it is already up to 228.5, which I know usually, hey, do you still like it there? Yes. I do not think that, look, you want to get the best of the number, always, 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 but I am not betting this because I expect it to land on 228 exactly. I did bet that over 227.5 because I know that the Game 1 line started at around 229 and at points was into the 230s. This, to me, categorizes as a double bounce back spot special. The Indiana Pacers just played their 5th lowest scoring game of this postseason. So despite the win, this team could very well get another level going. If you look at how their scoring went quarter by quarter, 20, 25, 31, 35. The turnovers stopped in the second half. If this team cleans up the turnovers over a full 48 minutes, the Indiana Pacers can get you 115 points. Well, now we're talking, well, does OKC win the basketball game, which I think they will.
Yeah.
People would say, well, what happens if OKC blows them out? I think it does look closer to the 149-106 performance that they've put up against the Denver Nuggets or something along those lines. I think they score big time, and OKC really is in line to score big time. Under 40% from the field is ridiculous from this team. Chet and J-Dub combining 8 of 28 should not happen for this team. And I even think for SGA, this is how good of a series this guy's going to have. The 14 of 30 performance, he probably feels I can expand on a little bit, right? Now, he took more threes, made 50% of them, great from the line. Again, he scored 38. SGA is averaging 30 a game in this series, though. So that scoring is going to be there. And we know the Pacers can be scored on. I think this game looks, in NFL, we do, what's your projected score? In the NBA, not as much. But right now in my head, this is 127-118. I think this game is a rocket ship, quite frankly, here. I don't think this is a series where you're going to see double unders, really. I am all about this total here in game number 2.
So it's tough. It's like, what storyline do you want to tell yourself? And using the NFL example, it's like, oh, they're going to be playing from behind, therefore they can't run it, they have to pass it.
Yeah.
That's the storyline you tell yourself. What did I tell you a couple days ago on GTD? Mm-hmm. That once we get to game 5 or game 6, we're going to have totals listed sub 220 or at 220. That's my take. So seeing it drop a point or two, I think makes sense. I'm hesitant to play the total. I really am, because I can tell myself both stories. I can tell myself that these teams are in for a bounce back. OKC shooting under 40%. It's not going to happen in 2 consecutive games. They're not going to be held to just 110 points. Plus the Pacers, as you said, one of their lower scoring performances. This is a team that could put up 120 before you know it. So if we have both things converge at the same time, the bounce back from OKC and the Pacers not turning the ball over and being more efficient, then we're in that, let's call it, 120, 118, some type of range, and we're right past that number. So what you want to tell yourself is, those teams should be shooting better, but I also have a theory that this series will be trending under.
Yeah, I know that you said that.
It was a little bit shocking to you when I first said it.
Yeah, because I'm the other way. I think this game is going to have one of these games. I think you'll see 250 points in this series. I really believe that. And I'll put it to you maybe in the Giannis way. Like, I'd rather not bet that under. The Pacers team total I'm seeing right now, 109.5. You really want to bet them not to score 110 going into game number 2? The Thunder's team total is 119.5. They scored 110 in a game they shot 40% from the field. Like, I look at those, and that's why I'm playing the full over. Because I think both of those can get there. I am more confident in the OKC portion of it, but here's the thing, man. The Pacers have been held under 100 once.
Against the Knicks.
I'm not saying the Thunder can't do it. I'm just saying they are coming off of a game that profiled where they were supposed to hold the Pacers under 100. So to do that in consecutive goes is going to be tough. And this is the thing about Indiana, and it's why I'm sure, well, not everyone. Again, maybe, guys like you and I who gave Indy more respect coming in. This is not a team who steals home court and then chunks the, all right, cool.
We got the split. We're fine.
We're not showing. They've been 2-0 every single series they've played. So I think this is going to be an incredible game, a lot of fun. We will talk more about it, of course, here on this show. But the Knicks in the news for a lot more reasons than just losing a conference finals. We'll talk about that with you right here after this commercial break.
It'll be interesting to see what the Knicks do, but the Knicks are at a point now where they don't have to blow it up. They may still do so, and they have a right to do so. But with trading the 4 first-round picks and the pick swap for Mikal Bridges, the Knicks don't have a lot of room in regards to actual picks to throw at people.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
No one is going to pick Indiana. No one's going to pick Indiana to make it close, honestly. Like, you can't really, you could get tremendous odds if you pick OKC in 7.
I think that taking the series over 5.5 games, the last 2 NBA Finals series ended in 5. I think this one goes 6. I think the Thunder will get the job done, but I think the Pacers are just too strong of a team and too talented of a team and too deep of a team to lose in 5 or fewer games.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
The Knicks really got past that playoff dragon for them that really stood in their way. So for the New York Knicks to be the Celtics and then an outright favorite to win the Eastern Conference Finals, that's where the disappointment is.
The goalposts got moved, right? Because when you went into the Celtics series, a lot of Knicks fans said they weren't going to beat it. This, I'll say this is more unprecedented than the 99 run when they were the 8th seed.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Face. It's the new face. New face of what? The hell are you talking about? Like seriously. Oh, the new face of the NBA, Anthony. Yeah, okay. You know what I mean? Like, really? Guy's got 2 shots. You're the face of the NBA. Slow down. He's a good player. I've always thought the whole face of the NBA thing was comical. You want him to be the face of the NBA because you don't like it that all the other faces of the NBA aren't American.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
The New York Knicks. The New York Knicks made a tough decision to fire Tom Thibodeau after 5 seasons in New York. I will just say this part off the bat. When the Knicks were up 3-1 against Boston, and in that moment, they had not only full control, but we knew the Tatum injury. But simultaneously, we knew Indiana was going to get past Cleveland. I mean, if not having already, maybe clinched the series against Cleveland, possibly. And I was talking to some Knicks fans, and I said, it will be much worse if you lose to Indiana again than if you blow this 3-1 lead to Boston. And I was met with some agreeance from the people that I spoke with. And the firing of Tom Thibodeau, despite beating Boston, I do feel somewhat shows I was right about that, because clearly for this Knicks decision-making group, that result to the Indiana Pacers was totally unacceptable. What was your takeaway when you saw Tom Thibodeau was fired?
I wasn't shocked, and this is something we discussed prior to Game 6. It was on that Saturday when we were here doing, it's what we discussed prior to Game 6, saying, if the Knicks lose tonight, where they go force a Game 7 and lose that, it's like, what would be the offseason plan for the Knicks?
Yeah.
Is it firing Tibbs? Is it changing things, on the bench? And my answer was, it can't just be one thing. If you fire Tibbs but you don't improve the bench, it's a meaningless thing. It doesn't matter who you hire as head coach. I know they want to interview Jason Kidd. You bring in Jay Wright out of retirement from Villanova because the Villanova boys. If you don't improve the bench, nothing matters. And then if you improve the bench and it's still Tibbs, it's like, people are still going to have their questions. So my immediate reaction when you saw the Shams tweet was, I'm not really surprised. But I'm not, and it doesn't almost matter until what happens next. So that's my takeaway is like, okay, you rip the Band-Aid off, but this has to be the first domino to fall. It can't be the only one. There has to be subsequent steps to improve other areas, or this is all for naught.
So do you think it was a mistake?
No, but I'm saying I'm indifferent right now because if they bring in who's your top candidate would be the perfect fit for them?
I mean, if they could bring in anybody, it'd be probably Ime Udoka from Houston.
Well, yeah. So if they brought him in, but they didn't change the bench, it's meaningless.
So I think what's interesting is, for me, I was probably more surprised than you when I saw the notification, despite almost somehow being like, Mr. Fire Tom Thibodeau.
You already cast the die.
Because I didn't actually think they'd do it.
Okay.
Like, one of the reasons I talked about it with a level of passion is because I was not just talking about what I thought they should do, but I was bothered that I thought weren't going to do it or consider it, because I just felt he had too good of a relationship with everybody in the building, whether that was Leon Rose or Jalen Brunson or Josh Hart, Worldwide West, whatever it might be.
They would just get gun shy and not do it.
Yeah, I just thought they were like, Tibbs is our guy. Okay. We're not going to get rid of him. And I was like, too much of this evaluation is going to end up about, he's our guy, instead of the shortcomings or the issues with Tom Thibodeau for this team. And to see them do it, I thought was a bit of a gutsy move, and I think they deserve credit for it. And a lot of people are, like you, understandably saying, I'll let you know how the decision is based on who they hire. I think the interesting thing about that, though, is I don't know if I think most likely, whoever they hire, you'll go, now we'll see how they do. You mentioned the bench. DeLon Wright and Landry Shamet, plus Deuce McBride, call it, right? I would say gave them good minutes against the Pacers. Well, that's Tibbs' fault then. He didn't play them during any other series or the regular season to get these guys accustomed, adjusted, in the flow, in the mix. That didn't happen. That's his style. That's who he is. Yeah. I thought it was odd where everyone's like, man, a lot of credit for Tibbs pushing the right buttons. Like, he's just, I felt like, for me, grasping at straws in the Indiana series. And I think it is, but with all that said, I think the biggest reason they fired him is how open the Eastern Conference is going to be seen as next year. And I think that this is a team who is not saying, we want to be in the conference finals again. They're saying, we better win the East. And this guy just lost to the Pacers in consecutive seasons as a favorite with home court advantage, and that's too shaky for us. So maybe the guy we bring in, whoever it is, won't be as good, but we need the chance that they are better. We need to take a chance that we can improve.
Yeah, and this is a discussion when you have, I think, maybe comes to evaluating prospects, especially when I would think of the NFL draft. It's like the player we have here, but there's another player that has a theoretical higher ceiling.
Yep.
That, listen, it may not be perfect, but if you bring back Tibbs and you run it back, we kind of know what the expectation has been set. But if you were to bring in X coach, X assistant coach, Y coach from the college, whatever it might be, his theoretical ceiling will put you over the hump and put you past the Eastern Conference Finals into the NBA Finals due to the Tatum injury. We're not sure what we're going to get with Cleveland, whatever it might be. So I understand the thought process of saying we got to rip the Band-Aid off. We got to strike while the iron's hot because the Eastern Conference is open, and that coach has to bring us a higher potential than what Tibbs currently has has ever shown.
I think that's really what this comes down to. It's very similar to what Denver did in getting rid of Michael Malone. They're like, if we have Michael Malone, he's good.
You don't want to. I would say for the Knicks, you do not want a retread coach. You need someone that's got innovation.
That is the next step then here on our show, is evaluating the candidates, who feels realistic,
right,
and who feels like a thumbs up or a thumbs down. We will talk about that with you here on this Saturday morning. We will also, of course, in just a little bit, get to your WNBA slate with 3 games and some potential sizzles out in the W. All with you, again, Kevin Walsh and Tom Vecchio on SportsGrid.
It'll be interesting to see what the Knicks do, but the Knicks are at a point now where they don't have to blow it up. They may still do so, and they have a right to do so, but with trading the 4 first-round picks and the pick swap for Mikal Bridges, the Knicks don't have a lot of room in regards to actual picks to throw at people.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
No one is going to pick Indiana. No one's going to pick Indiana to make it close, honestly. Like, you can't really, you could get tremendous odds if you pick OKC in 7.
I think that taking the series over 5.5 games, the last 2 NBA Finals series ended in 5. I think this one goes 6. I think the Thunder will get the job done, but I think the Pacers are just too strong of a team and too talented of a team and too deep of a team to lose in 5 or fewer games.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
The Knicks really got past that playoff dragon for them that really stood in their way. So for the New York Knicks to be the Celtics and then an outright favorite to win the Eastern Conference Finals, that's where the disappointment is.
The goalposts got moved, right? Because when you went into the Celtics series, a lot of Knicks fans said they weren't going to beat it. This, I'll say this is more unprecedented than the 99 run when they were the 8th seed.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Face is the new face. New face of what? The hell are you talking about? Like seriously. Oh, the new face of the NBA, Anthony. Yeah, okay. You know what I mean? Like, really? Guy's got 2 shots. You're the face of the NBA. Slow down. He's a good player. I've always thought the whole face of the NBA thing was comical. You want him to be the face of the NBA because you don't like it that all the other faces of the NBA aren't American.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
Betting above the rim, pro basketball today is with you here on SportsGrid. And the Knicks made the move to fire Tom Thibodeau. And Tibbs had success, certainly, with the New York Knicks. And some of the reactions that we saw from Knicks fans, almost a level of concern that they'll not be able to get here again. The Knicks, before this successful run with Tom Thibodeau, were near the bottom. They had seasons where they didn't crack 20 wins. That absolutely happened for this basketball team. But I do believe the driving force, again, is the openness of the East. I think, and we'll kind of reset this when we talk about some of the rumors later, I think it's why the Knicks making another big move with the rosters on the board, because they just want to be the favorites. So when we look then, Tom, at who could be the coach, is there someone for you that feels like the favorite for this job right now?
Favorite in terms of who I think they will hire or should hire?
I'll take either one.
Because I think Mike Malone or Taylor Jenkins are easy answers.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You'd be like, listen, Malone, because think of that opening press conference.
Yeah.
Right? And, he's a championship coach. He knows how to deal with a star. He's done X, Y, and Z. And again, this is, maybe they do get a Antetokounmpo. Mm-hmm. Maybe they do make a big move for a Antetokounmpo. So he knows how to handle a star player. He's a proven coach. So it's not as if the Knicks fans would be thinking, there's some uneasiness because we are taking some, like a OC in the NFL, taking a random shot in this guy who's unproven. It's like, this guy's done it before. He knows how to work with the pieces. Sure, it's not the same market in Denver as it is in New York, but that seems like an easy answer for him or Taylor Jenkins. I think that's where they'll ultimately end up because, again, I think the level of discomfort Knicks fans would have with an unproven coach would be too much.
So I think that is fair. I think that Johnny Bryant, though, since he was someone that was kind of with the Knicks, and Knicks fans actually know who Johnny Bryant is. He got good reviews from them, good reviews from his time in Cleveland. And I think one of the selling points on Johnny Bryant is the unproven nature. What if he is amazing, right? I also think, due to, again, the relationships that Tibbs certainly had with certain guys, was strong. Those guys likely also have good relationships with Johnny Bryant, so maybe that can lessen the blow. I think he is the favorite for the job. I thought Michael Malone was the second. We've seen some reporting that maybe they're not as interested. The Malone selling point is very simple. He won a championship. Yeah. That is the entire... Now, when someone counters with, but they had Jokic, there's no counter to that.
Right.
They did.
Yeah.
Right? I think it's very interesting that the Knicks are trying to bring in very much so employed coaches like Jason Kidd and Ime Udoka and Chris Finch. I think it speaks very much so to your point that this is a team who's not looking to... Firing Tom Thibodeau was a risk, yet it doesn't seem like they want to take a risk in the hire, right?
See, when you hire a coach like a Malone or a Taylor Jenkins, or you bring in a Jason Kidd, that's like a, I can sleep comfortably at night, all warm and cozy type of feel. Where when an NFL team hires an unproven OC, it's like, listen, he's a genius offensively, but can he handle managing a game? That's a very different thing. Yeah. So when you see an unproven coach, like we can get into some of these odds that you see here, whether Jay Wright, John Calipari, Rick Pitino, these names that have been floated around, I think are insane. Dan Hurley would be far more interesting to me than any of those guys. But I would entertain those before I would entertain
the college guys.
Yeah.
So first of all, Jay Wright's not going to be the coach. That whole thing is a Villanova pipe dream. That's never happening. I wouldn't give Hurley the time of day, quite frankly, because I don't think he was serious about the Laker job.
No.
So
absolutely.
to me, if I'm the Knicks, I'm not going to go through that process when he just, again, didn't take another process serious. And I believe that. I do not believe he took the Laker process serious.
Solely from
Yes. What I would say of the employed coaches, people keep talking about Jason Kidd. I think that Jason Kidd may be able to keep the Mavs job forever because of the whole Luka thing was so crazy. And they might be like, listen, he's stuck with us. I think Ime should be more on the board than everyone else. For people who say the Rockets have a better outlook than the Knicks, I push back on the certainty people say that with. But more so, Ime Udoka didn't want to be the Rockets coach. He wanted to be the Celtics coach. And then things happened, and he had to move on. I think if the Ime was allowed to, he'd be the Knicks coach immediately.
A little bit of revenge.
We'll talk some W right here on SportsGrid.
It'll be interesting to see what the Knicks do, but the Knicks are at a point now where they don't have to blow it up. They may still do so, and they have a right to do so, but with trading the 4 first-round picks and the pick swap for Mikal Bridges, the Knicks don't have a lot of room in regards to actual picks to throw at people.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
No one is going to pick Indiana. No one's going to pick Indiana to make it close, honestly. Like, you could get tremendous odds if you pick OKC in 7.
I think that taking the series over 5.5 games, the last 2 NBA Finals series ended in 5. I think this one goes 6. I think the Thunder will get the job done, but I think the Pacers are just too strong of a team and too talented of a team and too deep of a team to lose in 5 or fewer games.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
The Knicks really got past that playoff dragon for them that really stood in their way. So for the New York Knicks to be the Celtics and then an outright favorite to win the Eastern Conference Finals, that's where the disappointment is.
The goalposts got moved, right? Because when you went into the Celtics series, a lot of Knicks fans said they weren't going to be this. I'll say this is more unprecedented than the 99 run when they were the 8th seed.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
Face is the new face. New face of what? The hell are you talking about? Like seriously. Oh, the new face of the NBA, Anthony. Yeah, okay. You know what I mean? Like, really? Guy's got 2 shots. You're face of the NBA. Slow down. He's a good player. I've always thought the whole face of the NBA thing was comical. You want him to be the face of the NBA because you don't like it that all the other faces of the NBA aren't American.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.